Welcome back to NM Sarena. In this video, we are going to discuss the index numbers. First of all, let us see the meaning of index numbers. It is a device for measuring the differences in the magnitude of a group of related variables. See, in the case of a simple average, it is a direct measurement of the central tendency of the variable having a same category of data or expressed in similar units of measurement. But in the problems containing multiple variables and varying in units of measurement and magnitude, then we require to find the relative variations. And in the effects of factors have to be found out at given circumstances over a period of time. So the statistical device which measures the related variables and provides representative figures as regards the combined changes in the variables, that device is called the index number. The technique of index number was developed by Bishop Fleetwood in 1707. Now let us move on to the features of index numbers. One of the important feature is that the index numbers are specialized averages. In constructing the index numbers, we have different types of items and different types of units. And these index numbers are averages of the relative changes in the prices of different items given in different units. So the index number is a special type of an average. Then these index numbers are expressed in percentages of relative changes, but the percentage sign is never used. And the index numbers measure changes that are not capable of direct measurement. For example, the price level, economic activity, or the cost of living. These are not capable of direct measurement, but we find the changes in these phenomena using index numbers. And the index numbers are meant for comparison. Generally, the comparisons are made over different intervals of time with reference to a particular base year. And the index numbers have universal application. They are used to ascertain the changes in different sectors of the economy. Now coming to the uses of index numbers, we can see that the index numbers have become one of the most widely used statistical devices nowadays. And there is hardly any field where the index numbers are not being used. So let us analyze the fields or the levels in which the index numbers are in use. The index numbers measure the changes in the price level, and they are also the indicators of the inflationary or the deflationary tendencies. They are much useful to arrive at some real values of money or purchasing power of money. And the index numbers can also be used to make measuring adjustments in wages of employees. When there is an increase in the cost of living index number, the wages of the workers can also be increased accordingly. So the country or the economy can use these index numbers to fix the wages and salaries of employees in that country on the basis of the cost of living in that area or in that country. And the index numbers can be used to study the trends and the tendencies of various phenomena. And in addition to that, many of the economic and business policies are guided by the index numbers. For example, the index numbers of industrial production shows relative changes in the physical outputs. Therefore, the government can frame certain industrial policies on the basis of these index numbers. The index numbers are considered as the economic barometers. Now, what is an economic barometer? Actually, a barometer is an instrument which is used for recording the changes in the atmospheric pressure. So an economic barometer means it must be an instrument that records the changes in the economy. The wholesale price index numbers record the changes in the price level of the country. And the index numbers of agricultural production, they reveal the changes in the progress in the field of agriculture. And similarly, the index numbers also reveal the progress in the industrial sector. And the index numbers of business activity, they show the economic progress that various countries have made. Thus, index numbers make a complete study of the economic changes in the country. That is why the index numbers are called economic barometers. Although the index numbers have their own uses, they are not free from limitations. So let us analyze what are the demerits of index numbers. The index numbers are based on samples, so they do not take into account each and every item. Hence, we cannot say that they are perfect. Similarly, the index numbers are only approximate indicators of the relative level of a phenomenon. And the index numbers are not good for all purposes. An index number calculated for one purpose cannot be used in other places where they may not be fully appropriate. And the index numbers are liable to be misused by choosing abnormal base year or some irrational weights. There are different methods for calculation of index numbers. So, if a suitable method is not selected, the result obtained may not be accurate. It is not very easy to construct an index number. A number of difficulties have to be encountered while we are constructing the index numbers. First of all, we have to see the purpose for which the index number is calculated. It must be clearly defined before it is being constructed. A failure to decide clearly the purpose of index would lead to confusion and wastage of time, and there will not be any useful outputs from this construction. And the selection of a base period is also very important in the case of an index number construction. Every index number must have a base period. The base period means the time period with which the comparison of relative changes are made. It may be a year or a month, or it can also be a day. The base period should be a normal one. It should be free from abnormalities like war, earthquake, famines, depressions, booms, etc. So, selection of a base period is very important in the construction of an index number. Next is the selection of items or the data. In an index number, neither it is possible nor necessary to include all the items or all the commodities. Therefore, selection of items is important. The items selected should be representative of the taste, habits, and customs of the people for whom this index is meant. A decision must be made about the number of commodities to be included in the construction of this index. And then regarding the obtaining of price quotations, after the commodities have been selected, we have to see or we have to obtain the price for these commodities from a number of selected markets. Since the index numbers are specialized averages, a decision is to be taken as to which average should be used for constructing this particular index. A choice can be made between the arithmetic mean and geometric mean. Though the geometric mean is the best average in construction of index numbers, arithmetic mean is preferred because of its simplicity. Another issue is the selection of weights. The problem of selecting suitable weight is quite important and at the same time quite difficult to decide. It is necessary to devise some suitable method whereby the varying importance of the different items is taken into account. This is done by allocating appropriate weights. Certain item has to be given more importance than the other items. So, giving weight to the items is a matter of utmost importance in the construction of index numbers. And the last point is the selection of an appropriate method or the formula. There are various methods and formulae for the construction of index numbers. No one particular formula can be regarded as the best under all circumstances. So, for different circumstances or for different situations, a different formula may have to be applied. The problem is therefore selecting the most suitable and the appropriate formula. Normally, considering the Fisher's formula would be an ideal one in almost all situations. The index numbers are broadly classified into two as symbol index numbers and weighted index numbers. The symbol index numbers are also called unweighted index numbers. The symbol index numbers are those index numbers in the calculation of which all the items are treated as equally important. No item has a more importance than the other item. Therefore, in the calculation of this symbol index number, the items are not given any weight. Whereas, in the case of a weighted index number, there is an importance given to the weight of an item. The weighted index numbers are those index numbers in the calculation of which each item is assigned a particular weight. So, the importance of the items differ. Therefore, we can see that the weighted index numbers are obtained by taking into account the weight of each item. Then we must know what is a weight. It is actually the relative importance of an item. The system of giving weight may be either arbitrary or rational. In the case of arbitrary weighting, the statistician is free to assign weights to different items as he thinks reasonable. He can give weights according to his thoughts or what he feels as justifiable. And in the case of a rational weighting, some criteria have been fixed for assigning weights. The weights may be on the basis of the value or the quantity produced, consumed, or sold. When a quantity forms the basis, it is a quantity weighting. And in the case of a value based weighting, we can call it as value weighting. Some of the popularly used index numbers, especially in the field of economics and business, are discussed here. The most important one is the price index number. It is the most popular and the commonly used index number. And this index number measures the changes in the prices of some commodities or a group of commodities, either produced or consumed or sold in a given period or at a given place, with reference to the period or place collectively. And there are two types of price index numbers: wholesale price index number and retail price index number. The wholesale price index number measures the changes in the general price level of the country, and the retail price index number measures the general changes in the retail price of commodities and services which are bought and sold in the retail market. The next type of index number is the quantity index number. They help us in measuring and comparing the changes in the physical volume of goods produced, sold, or purchased in a given period. The indices of agricultural and industrial production, imports and exports are all included in this category. Another one is value index numbers. They are used to compare changes in values from one period to another. It compares the total value of some period with reference to the total value of the base period. The value of a commodity is a product of its price and quantity. That is, the value of a commodity means price into quantity of that particular product. That is the value of that product. And the cost of living index number. It helps in the comparison of average change in consumption and expenditure of the commodity from one time to another. It shows the average change in the consumer expenditure of a particular class of consumers. And the last type is special purpose index numbers. Some indices are constructed for some specific purposes or for some specific uses. They measure the average change as compared to the base period or place or any specific purpose. Such index numbers are called special purpose index numbers. These are the important types of index numbers used in business and economics field. Thank you for watching this video. For more videos, subscribe the channel.